Alright students, a good day. In this video we're going to start working on your ATM simulator. So we'll go ahead and create a new project. Then we'll go ahead and grab the Windows forms. And we'll grab Windows Forms.app. And this we'll go ahead and call it ATM. And again, just make sure you're saving it somewhere where you know you can go ahead and find it. Again, we'll go ahead and stick with Net5 for right now. And create. Now, let me just this. There we go. So we're going to create the entry point, which is going to be our, as the name would imply, the entry point, and it's going to simulate the pin pad. All right, so I'm just going to adjust that. And now, see, I'm not going to add a pin pad. We're just going to do like a username and pin number. So I'll go ahead and open up the toolbox, anchor it to the side. I'll go ahead and grab common controls. I'll grab a text box. I'll just increase the size of that a little bit. You know what, let me just, so not so small. Around there, then I'll go ahead and just change the font size. And you know, this part is mostly up to you, how you want to go ahead and do it. So I'll set it like that, and I'll call this one under the design, username. I'll username box. And I'll go ahead and select it again. Command C, no, Control C, Control V to paste down. Go ahead and change the name as well, and this will be password box. Password box. I'll go ahead and add some labels. Again, since this is going to be your final project, you know, you want to try and make it as presentable as possible. That's about all right. And then we'll change the text in here to username. Select it again, Control C, Control V to paste. Change this to password. Right now, one nice thing that you can go ahead and do with the password field is if you go to appearance, behavior, you can look for password characters. And here you could do, for example, an asterisk. And now every time the user writes something, they'll see a little asterisk. Or if you wanted to do, you know, dashes or something like that, you can do so now. Instead of just seeing text pop up, you would see those elements just being rendered out. And so let's just run this. Obviously, right now we have not a lot of functionality, but at least we know that things are working as intended. Now we'll go ahead and add a button. Increase the size of this button a little bit. This is going to be our sign-in button. So I'll change the text in here to be sign in. Increase the font size a little bit. There we go. And then the most important part, again, change the design. Change the name, so I'll say sign in BTN. And at this point, I'll go ahead and double click the sign in button. All right. Since this is the button that will allow us to go ahead and move forward, right? So we don't really need any type of behaviors on the text boxes because all we're interested in capturing the text that they will be receiving. So I'll go back. And in here, obviously, right now, we want to go ahead and first set up where we're going to be going. So we're going to create another form. So I'll move over here, right click, add, and then form. I'll go ahead and call this welcome. Yeah, well, welcome. Welcome main. I'll go ahead and add that. So this is going to be the main, as the name would imply, our main hub where we are going to be having all of our elements, okay? So right now, as mentioned earlier, I just want to go ahead and set up some elements in here so you guys have, the flow of how things are moving. So first off, we just want to be able to maneuver from being here in the sign-in and move up to the welcome, all right? So if you remember how we do that, we need to declare an instance of that class. So I'll say var and then main menu equals new, and then we're going to call welcome now you have that. We can go ahead and call main menu show dialog. If we go ahead and run it, click this, takes us here. Now, obviously, we still have some steps to go before we actually, start working on this guy. But, the basic functionality is there. So now we can come back here and it shows us this. So what I want to go ahead and do now is, before we show the main menu, I want to do a hide. So I'm going to say this dot hide. And then when this gets close, we'll do this dot show. So let's see if that works. So sign in, our form hides, and now we're here. If we close this, it pops back up. All right. Now, this is a behavior that you can choose to have, or you can choose to change it. So instead of just reverting back to having the sign in form, you can just change this show for a close. That option is completely up to you. In my case, I want to have this functionality where once I am done with the main menu, I can just revert back here, okay? So far, so good. And again, this is something I would like to tell you guys a lot, before you commit to doing a whole lot of code, always just make sure that what you have is working, all right? So again, let's just go back to the Windows form and let's do some changes to this element as well. So I want to go ahead and change where over here, instead of having form 1, I want to go ahead and change that. So in here under appearance, where you see text form 1, and here, we'll call this SU bank. Right? So now I have SU bank here. If you guys wanted to go ahead and add, for example, an image, stuff like that, you can go ahead and do so, right? So let me just scroll this down a little bit. And then we'll add an image right here. So I'll go ahead and grab our image element picture box. Here we go. So I'll put this here. And let me go ahead and find an SU logo real quick. All right, so I went ahead and just looked up a little logo for SU and saved it to my downloads. Let me go ahead and open that up. So what I want to go ahead and do right now, let's just grab this image and drag it inside of my project and just drop it in there. All right. So just drop it. And let me just collapse these. So it's on the same level as, for example, our forms and all of that. Now, obviously, since, well, you know what, let's just create a folder for this. So it's a little bit more manageable. Since we are, we'll be adding some more images, it just warrants having better structure. So I'll call this EMG for images and then just drag that in there. Images, yes. So now we have our images and it's in there. So with our picture box selected, I'll go and click this little icon and I'll go to choose image. Now I'll do local resource. Right. Well, let's try here. So now we'll go into local resource. We'll go where we have it saved. I'll go to programming, C# August 22, ATM, images, and here we go. So I have that here now. For example, you'll notice we have size mode in here. You can go ahead and auto size, and that'll just, in my opinion, that's almost always the best option. You can also try and do center image. It's just up to you, right? So I'll do right now just center image, and I'll leave it like that. So now let's just go ahead and run it, see how that looks. I mean, not bad, right? Okay. So at least for stylization, or at least I'm done with this part. If you guys want to go ahead and work on it a little bit more, feel free to do so. Now let's go back to the logic on the sign in button. Now, as it stands, you guys need to go ahead and generate a single user, and that's all I'm going to be asking of you guys, a single user that you can go ahead and create. Well, that you have already created in the background code. That's going to have some information. Now, obviously, first of all, you need to come in here and create, some properties. So I'll say public. I'll go ahead and call this username. And then, you could go ahead and, well, obviously, string username. Now in here, you can go ahead and assign it right now. And if that is something you want to do, that's perfectly fine. So in here, I can just call this Osiris. That's going to be a value is going to be loaded the moment we initiate. So I'll do another public string. And then we'll say password. In this instance, I'll just keep it short, so I don't keep typing a whole lot. But if you wanted to add, for example, a bare minimum of length, stuff like that, you can go ahead and do so. So, that way I have my values in here and they're loaded upon the form just being brought in, right? So now we need to validate for these. Well, so how do we validate for them? Well, the easiest way is always going to be an if statement in this instance. So we can say if username equals username box dot text, and in this instance we can just do an and password equals password box dot text. Then obviously we know that the user is the correct user, so we can just go ahead and grab the following. So let me just snag this and then just paste it in here, right? And then we can do else. And then we can go ahead and generate a message box for an error. Excuse me. So, like I said, if we want to go ahead and show, obviously if this is true, we're going to go over to the other side. If we have an error, meaning, the password or the username is wrong, we want to go ahead and display an error message. So in this instance, we're going to go ahead and use a message box. And then we're going to .show. Now the first parameter that we need to go ahead and do is the message. So in here we can say wrong username or password. And then the title, we can just, well, the second parameter is the title, so we can just give it a title of like wrong info. Then we want to go ahead and add a button, so I'll say message buttons okay. So that way they can just go ahead and close the window. Then we'll go ahead and add an icon as well. So I'll do error and we'll choose the error one. And there we go. And decrease the size of these so you can see better. So we have message box.show, wrong username or password, comma, wrong info, which is this is the title, then a little button, and the message box icon error. So I'll go ahead and load this in. we'll go ahead and, just type in some random information in here. And we get our little wrong username or password. All right. So that's about good. So now let's, test out the positive one. So Osiris123, and we come over here. All right. So I'll go ahead and end this video in this part. In the next one, we'll go ahead and pass the parameters over. So we'll pass in the information of the user. So in this case, just the username over to the welcome page. So we can display welcome, whatever username you have in there. All right. So I'll see you guys in the next video.